Hey, West.
Welcome to the Chocolates Conversations podcast, where shit gets real conversational. I'm your host, Keon Taylor, aka Key, alongside my favorite girl, the inspirational Dr. V, and last but not least, the myth, the legend, Hafi Stokes.
What's going on?
What's going on, everybody? Yo, we have a great show for you today, but before we get started, like this video, subscribe this video, share this video. Let's get into this. So there's a lot of conversation out here dealing with dating and finances. You know, everybody's talking about if you make $50,000 or less, you shouldn't be dating.
What?
She don't want no broke niggas. Damn, if you ain't this, you can't date me. Which leads me to this one topic. Should you be dating while broke? That's a heavy topic, guys.
Yeah, that's definitely heavy. Like I always tell just people in general, you want to make sure you're always improving on yourself, regardless, financially, mentally, before you even have anyone else in your space, in your piece, like some of us like to say. So, especially from a man, if you're not confident in your finances, then you shouldn't be trying to pursue women. You need to be staying on your purpose. That's something you need to do all the time. So that'll make yourself more attractive out here into the dating market. So definitely always stand on your purpose, stand on your grind, and then, the women will come. So
you're saying a man should stay on his purpose and he should be working and continue
always
to improve himself and then get out there in the dating market.
Yeah. That don't mean that you can't mingle, but, you make yourself a little bit more attractive out in the dating market when you kind of got yourself together. And it also puts some confidence in yourself when you know you're kind of a little more financially stable and women can kind of see that. And so it just kind of all flows in one and one together.
Okay, now I'm going to play devil's advocate.
Sure.
Now, the average black man in this country makes about $45,000 a year.
Yes.
The average white man makes $50,000 a year.
I know.
And there's a young lady that said if a man is making $50,000 or less, he should not be dating. But that's the average salary for a man. So what about those men out there? Hey, I make a comfortable living. I love what I do. I just so happen to make $50,000 a year. Does he not deserve to be out here dating the best quality woman available, even though, of course, for your standards, you can say, hey, get the bag, but maybe that's not as important to everybody else as it may be to you or some of the other guys out there.
Yeah. Well, honestly, your salary, it shouldn't be your main factor, but I mean, of course, we already know if you want to attract the level of quality of women sometimes. Yeah, we all know it's level. I mean, we know the game. You've been seeing this since you were younger, when you seen guys who were a little more successful get qualitier women and all that. But here's another thing I can also address to women too. If you want certain type of men, then you need to get yourself together as well. These men of certain levels, they want something for their value as well. So they have standards and boundaries that they want and desires of a woman. So you have to do the same thing. You have to bring the things that they desire as well. So, what's your take on it?
So for me, I see it as also age is the age is a difference, because when you're in your 20s, everybody's broke. Everybody's trying to figure it out. You don't know your purpose. You're trying to figure out life. So it's fun to date, explore, get those experiences. But when you're in your 30s, 40s, it's a little bit different. I do agree. I do agree that you want to come to a person whole. Sometimes people are looking at people, I want this person to complete me. But I love the perception of I'm going to be my best version of myself. So that's mentally, spiritually, financially. If you're building a legacy, you don't have to wait till you meet your mate to build a legacy. You can do your thing. You can be doing your purpose and thing right now, and the other person can. And then you really know if you guys are compatible, if your legacy and your desires are aligned. When your purposes align. Because sometimes you can meet somebody and, I'll be doing my thing, they can be doing their thing, but we have totally different perspectives or purposes for our lives, and we're just not compatible. Doesn't mean he's not a great guy, wouldn't be a great husband, but our purposes aren't aligned. So I do like how you mentioned that, because purpose is deep. As far as with the the 50,000, you know. I mean, listen,
50,000,
we've all been, we've all been there, and I always tell my friends, and they know me, that I like to tell them, like, it matters. It doesn't matter how much you make; it's how you manage your money. There's a lot of people making six figures that's living paycheck to paycheck.
Man,
There's millionaires
preaching to
living
the choir.
paycheck to paycheck. But it's like, how do you manage your money, or how do you spend your money? How do you save? Things of that nature. Are you a compulsive buyer, or when it comes to, because again, a lot of people don't have these conversations while they're dating. They're scared to talk about finances. They're scared to talk about sexual past, all those different things, right? Which is important, but it's like, okay, I need to understand, if we're dating, I need to understand how you spend. If you are upset about something, do you go out and drop $1,000 on some shoes or something? Or if I'm stressed about work, am I gonna go to the Gucci store and buy a bag? It's like, but you might not be okay with that. You know what I mean? Like, you might be like, nah, boo, you gotta wait. And so I think it's very important to do your due diligence when you're dating. That's the fun part. When you're comfortable, you're so comfortable in your skin, you're dope, you're authentic. You're like, I'm not gonna send a representation when I'm dating. I'm gonna be myself and show up authentically, and then see how you really match with people.
So you just gonna show up as yourself, and you take whatever repercussions that come with it, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna either love me or hate me.
I feel that because I do hear a lot of men say, you know what, I can't really be out here dating. I can't really be out here putting my best foot forward until I get my money right. But I have an older brother to where when him and his wife started, they both had nothing, but they worked the plan together, and they still happily married till this day. But I feel like now we put so much unrealistic expectations on each other. It's like, damn, I'm making 50,000 right now, so I can't even pitch a bitch. I can't even talk to a chick without having my money right. But it's like, dang, why can't we do both? Why can't that guy make $50,000 a year, but maybe he's in school right now trying to be an engineer, so maybe it requires him to take a step back. But y'all still can do different dates. I think we want to pull out the red carpet on dates. Like, damn, take me to Will Chris, take me here, take me to all these extravagant dates. But it's like, damn, I don't even know you yet. I don't even know if I like you yet. But you expecting a steakhouse with Chris, but I don't know you like that. What if I'm taking you to this expensive ass restaurant and we don't like each other? I just blew $300 on your big headed ass, and we don't even like each other like that. When we could have been in the park feeding the ducks, you know what I mean? Or just talking, just trying to see if we even connect with each other. That's the bullshit.
Yeah, that goes back to, if you can find a woman who wants to just spend time with you, you know, most importantly, that just admires you. Like I told you earlier, go where you're wanted, not where you're tolerated. And that's all across race. Celebrated too. You can say the same, tolerated, not where you're tolerated, where you wanted, not where you're tolerated. All across the board. Because nowadays, especially with the plight of social media, a lot of people use dating memes as their ideal way of dating. And we have just a kind of screwed way of how we think relationships are, or relationships can be. Usually you would love to build with somebody, you know, like you bring whatever you have or what you're working on to the table, and y'all just build together. But nowadays, a lot of people, I know a lot of women now want guys already made. If you want to wait for the guy at the finish line, then you might have to do your due diligence and kind of go out there and compete for those guys.
So picking back off of what you're saying, if they just want a guy already at the finish line, what makes you think he wants you? He's already at the finish line. Now it's like, okay, if he's already at the finish line, he's already well established. What makes you think he wants to date you when he can date a woman that's perfect on that level? Because let's be real, a lot of these women, a lot of these men make these demands, but they're not even bringing that to the table, or they're not even being whatever they're trying to attract.
Right. And just kind of picking back off what V said, as we all know, with men, we get a little bit better with time. And as we get more defined, and that also brings up challenges when we are dating, because when you have put in the work to make yourself more attractive, more financially stable, there's a lot that you kind of not going to tolerate. You know, your boundaries get a little bit more tighter. So, and does come with more abundance. So you just like, all right, if this girl she ain't talking about nothing, on to the next. Yep. So it can be a little bit challenging as you get older, because you know your standards get a little bit tighter, and not even for women too, but definitely for men. And
So let me ask you guys a question. So why is it that, especially, I'm just talking about us since this chocolate podcast conversation.
Yes.
Why are we more interested on somebody who looks good or who fits the description on paper versus really taking the time out to really learn and get to know the person in the earth realm. Instead of we just want somebody to look good on paper. Oh, he's tall. Oh, he made 6 figures. Oh, she got the fat ass. Oh, she got the looks. But we're not even looking at the deeper stuff that's going to sustain a healthy relationship.
That's society.
Yeah.
I mean, that's society. A lot of people are influenced by society. I mean, when you talk about longevity, like my parents have been married like 45 years and still together, a lot of that stuff doesn't matter, right? When you focus on so for me, how is he going to pray over me? Can he speak peace to me when I'm upset? Right? Can he calm me down? Yeah, you're going to be physically attracted, of course. That's we're human, right? You want to be innately physically attracted to someone, but we can't put too much weight on the superficial stuff because it fades. And we know that over time. When you honestly, when I started looking at guys like, is he good now, or can I see myself with him 10 years from now? Everything will change because I'm like, yo, the characteristics he has now or some of the things he has, I wouldn't be able to deal with this in 10 years because I'm constantly evolving. What I wanted in a husband 2 years ago was different than I want now. Just 2 years ago, because as the type of woman I am, I'm constantly evolving. I love to learn. I'm constantly changing,
As
right?
you should be.
And so some people are and some people don't. So that's why I go back to, it's really important to know you. Once you really know you love yourself, you're so comfortable in your skin, it becomes easier to what you want as far as long term, what you can't live without, what you truly know, what you will need too. Actually,
it's
what you
funny
need.
you say that. It's funny how some of us look at attraction based on societal norms versus what's attractive and what's important to you. We look at he looks like Denzel Washington. Oh, it's almost like all the women wants the same type of guy and all the men wants the same type of woman. The BBLs, the super tall guy, the jawline. Yeah. It's like, damn, is that?
I mean,
it's crazy.
those are the typical they call like pre-selected looks for men, like a strong facial feature, jawline, symmetrical face. Those are just like standard beauties across the board, even with women, long hair and your face proportion. I mean, all those are just, I mean, of course, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but there are conventional beautiful looks. And they've done studies on this, like little kids, when they show pictures, they react to face. It's a test that they've shown it, and that's how they can kind of put together what would be conventional beauties. But I mean, yeah, especially in our culture, there are a lot of nuances. What we think now is beauty, especially with our subculture now dominating our main culture, which is not the best sometimes, and we can get stuck over in the superficial.
And that brings me to my next point. How much does culture, hip hop culture, R&B culture, movie culture, plays into how we view dating and the standards? And a nigga better have this or he better have that.
Yeah.
How much does culture? And I'm gonna start with you on this, V. How much does culture plays into the hypocrisy of this dating culture that we're in today?
I mean, it heavily plays into it, right? Because of the impact and the influence of social media. It plays a lot. But again, it goes back to, that's why it's important as far as our mindset. I love when you say, Hafiz, you're like, the person needs to have an abundance mindset.
Oh, yeah.
It's so dope because a lot of people, they don't even can't fathom what that means, right? And so it's like, how much are we going to let culture or what people think play into our day-to-day lives? And some of that depends on how we were raised. Like how I was raised, my parents was like, always tell the truth, don't care about what society says. Do you live, and so for me, I'm the person, I really don't, this is me personally, I really don't care a lot about what people think of me. I don't care. So that means I don't care about trying to do what society says is right, what looks right, or it should be, like you said, the looks, conventional beauty. I'm 5'2", I'm short, but I always attract men who are taller, above 6 feet. I can't put, they say they love short women. So it's like, it is, but I'm attracted to somebody who might be 5'5" because it doesn't matter to me. I'm just being honest. But I just generally I'm going to attract somebody that's over 6 feet, right? But I don't. that's not a deal breaker for me. You know what I mean? That I don't, because again, what you said, society, tall, look a certain way. Now, I will say one of my requirements is facial hair. That's just me. I love facial hair, beard gang. That's important to me. But in a nice smile, like teeth, that's important to me. But other stuff, for me, it doesn't matter, right?
What about you, Hafiz?
No, I hear that a lot. I hear a lot of women talk about when they request different things, what they want from a man is hygiene. Brothers, we got to get our hygiene going on.
Right, like,
I hear that a lot.
I think that should be standard.
Exactly.
You hear that? Wash your
Take
ass.
care of yourself. You know, if you want to attract what you want, you got to look, you got to be presentable.
Everybody has different standards of hygiene.
Yes,
and
that's
what I
true.
love to say, cleanliness is next to godliness. Like, it's different, but yeah, you're right. Women, we care about that. Like, but there's some women that need to tighten up too, because a lot of people have fell off. They said because of COVID.
Yeah,
That's changed a lot of people's dating because of COVID.
Stop going to the gym and changed up the diet.
Yeah,
Everything.
So let me ask you. So good point. So let me ask you guys this question. So when it comes to finances, when it comes to dating, are there things you can do to date without breaking a bank, without people having the expectation, hey, you know, if he ain't taking me to a steakhouse? Because I had a situation a long time ago where one of my homeboys was in Atlanta, and he said he was in a dating scene just trying to figure out, you know, what the women like and where they like to go. So he hit this girl up on dating apps, because, you know, dating apps are very prevalent this day. And
Absolutely,
he was like, hey, we should go on a date. And the woman, she agreed to say, yeah, we should go on a date. He said, okay, well, I was thinking maybe we can go hiking and then for ice cream cone. And she came back and said, I don't want to do that. He said, you don't want to hike, you don't want to just go walk in the park and just, you know, just talk and really get to know. He said, no, but then he played a trick on it. He said, okay, well, let's go to Sullivan's Steakhouse. How does that sound? Oh, she said, I'd love to. What time should I be ready?
But you said hiking or walk in the park. That's two different things.
Right.
So is it walk in the park or hiking? Because I don't hike, so.
I mean, it's I mean.
Did you say he just walk in the park?
Right,
okay.
walk in the park.
So that's different.
But I'm saying there's other. But I'm just saying, are there other options, other things that you can do without breaking a bank when it comes to dating? Versus saying, man, I gotta. You mean to tell me just to go on a date?
Yeah, absolutely.
I gotta go to the steakhouse. I gotta pay for valet. I gotta pay all this money. We're getting drinks. That's expensive. That adds up. Now I gotta do all this.
Tab.
When you showing up on a date. You know.
And is this a first date too? It's a first date too?
Usually the man pay. The man should pay. So now it's like, dang, but then you got some people out here say, look, when I go out on these dates, I'm dropping about $300 or $400. Damn, all that for a date?
Yeah, first date. Yeah. I think the point you was trying to make, Keon, is just the variations of cost and investment on the first date, like a hike or walk in the park, get some ice cream versus taking it to a 5-star restaurant on the first date. Because we all know in most situations, the man is always generally assuming the first risk and dating and courting. I mean, and that's kind of been the controversy nowadays, that women are more modern than normal, but still want men to have traditional values in dating. And that's the friction that's been going on probably over the last like 20, 30 years. So it's just trying to find the tightness and the common bound in that. But what I would suggest for men when talking or engaging with a woman, before you actually figure out if you want to take her out, figure out the interest level, man. Figure out if there's high interest, if there's like delay in communication, if she's not like barely responding. And this is even for a guy too. Yep. You know, if the person is like barely communicating back, like the text message, like they don't text you back in 2 days and stuff like that, then you might want to not either pursue that situation, or, you know, see a different type of, basically a low investment as far as seeing and taking them out.
But to follow up with it, you said something earlier in the conversation. You said go where you're celebrated, not tolerated. So do you feel like if you're going where you celebrated, or you with a man out there dealing with a woman with high interest,
I'm about to hit you.
She's gonna want us. She don't mind hitting the park.
But here's the kicker to all of this.
Okay.
We all know in this dating game, everybody's kind of chasing after somebody. Like we want who we don't. We want who don't want us, but who want us we necessarily don't want them, right? So it's always it's fucked up. It's really fucked up. So sometimes brothers, I know I've been guilty of it too, where the level of attraction that we have for a guy or a girl, we put up with things that we might not always put up with, like unresponsive text messages, or like just maybe double texting, reaching back out. And I've had moments where I was a little bit distant to a girl because I wasn't feeling her that, but she would continue to reach out to me and stuff like that. So, and I probably wasn't showing her the best high interest. And I've had the same situation. So maybe her level of attraction for me was really, really high. And I've had that same experience with a woman. So it's just finding that common ground. As I gotten older now, I kind of just decipher those situations. So now that I move a little bit differently, and it's like, okay, so this seems like this may be a waste of my time. So, and that's what I can suggest for anybody when it comes to, finding a time that's dating.
No, because I want to answer your question. Go back to what you were saying. I think it was key where you said find out what people like, the interest.
Yeah.
See, so sometimes the expensive date comes when you exchange your number with a guy, and then they want to take you out like the next day or within 3 days without us having a conversation. These days, people don't like to. I'm traditional, I'm old school. We need to have a phone call, like a conversation. It's hard for me to get to know you via text when it can happen. Miscommunication can 80% of chance likely happen. So I want to get to know you via telephone. But if a guy is trying to go out within the same week without finding out your interest, the safe place is, let's go out to eat or something. That's what most people do. Now, it doesn't have to be Ruth Chris and all those different things, because I'll say this again, and I've said this multiple times. Women who can afford steak, Ruth Chris, all that stuff by themselves, they're not really pressed for a guy to do it. I find that it's the women who cannot do that, or even when they go out with their female friends and they know we all splitting the bill, they'll get a steak. But when it's just they're paying, they'll get a burger. And it's let's talk about it. Those type of women.
Call them out. Call them out.
Because I'm going to be accountable to my sisters. And just like y'all need to be accountable to your brothers. And so those are the women I noticed that they're pressed for a man to take them to a fancy restaurant. Women who can do it for themselves, we ain't pressed. We love the effort. We want to see how creative have you been. But when you go back to interest, see, a first date, I like to get to know somebody, but to take the pressure off. So I I wouldn't mind a David Buster's because I'm competitive. I want to play pool with you. I want to see, we'll play basketball. I've had great fun dates, first dates like that, because it takes the pressure off. And again, you're like free in that environment, because I'm a big person on vibe and energy. So it's about what is the environment, and it just brings you just let all your guard down. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to answer your question. Like, it's really about knowing your interests. But but we get pressured a lot when dudes exchange your number. They're like, can I take you out tomorrow? The next day, I'm like, bro, I got.
That's high interest.
That's high interest. I mean, I was gonna say, I know.
You might seem pressy, but it is high interest.
But to my point, you haven't figured out what my interests are to kind of say, oh, that's why I was looking at you. If somebody says, can you go hiking? I don't hike, though. That's not my interest. It's not saying I need you to take me to a 5-star restaurant, but that's not my interest. Or let's go swimming on the first date. I love to swim, but I'm not going to do that on a date. Like, that's like boyfriend. You know what I'm saying? So
to follow up with what you're saying, Dr. B, you're saying have a conversation, figure out who you're dealing with, figure out what their interests are before you even agree to even go on a date
and invest money.
Because if he's getting mad when he's taking a woman out to Ruth Chris on the first day, well, did you guys have the conversation? Did you talk? Did you figure out, like you said, is the high interest there? She probably just say, oh, he's just another meal. So, all right, I'll waste his time and have a meal.
Have a meal. Pretend like I'm interested on the date and what he's talking about, and then let him pay for the tab and deuces.
So you got both of you guys come from good homes. Parents are still happily married together. So that's an amazing thing. So let me ask you guys something.
Very fortunate for that, man.
Let me ask you a question. Is it coming from that and considering the state of dating today? As far as people having unrealistic expectations. Hey, you can't even date a person unless you're doing this. How do you, when you look at your parents' success and what they've done and being able to mimic that, how do you guys try to mimic that? Or is it still tough out here considering you had those examples? So you still see it to this day. Is it still hard to say, man, I want what they have, but the state of this dating today is just crazy.
I mean, it's very tough, but it goes back to what I was saying of when I talked to my parents about how important, because it's so funny. A couple months ago, I asked my dad, I'm a daddy's girl, so I always ask him for advice. And then I was saying how important is emotional connection, because I always thought that was more important. But I realized 2 years ago, when I'm talking about longevity, I need to be mentally connected with somebody first. Mentally and spiritually is high. But I always thought it was emotionally. And he was like, no, because when you get into the 10, 20, 30 years, your emotional connection is going to change. Because through life and stuff. Life happens, people have kids, somebody loses a job, things of that nature. So he was like, it is very important. And he was like, and he knows his daughter, right? He's like, it's very important for you to be mentally and spiritually aligned and stuff like that. So it's like looking at certain things again of do I see myself with this person just now, or do I see them 10, 20 years from now? And that really changed my life. I don't know about you, but
I'll say I always tell people I'm very fortunate. My parents still together, been married 41 years, somewhere
that's
around
awesome.
there.
That's
awesome. And granted, it was different times when they got together. It wasn't this rambunctious dating culture that we have in now. Just a lot of challenges that we're now facing with. The world has really gotten smaller with we've gotten more access to things. Like I told you, I tell a lot of people with social media, Instagram, apps and all, it's given, like let's say a small town girl who would be like the baddest girl in her city. Now she has access to celebrities, men, and she's getting likes, DMs. So now that's giving her an unrealistic of her dating pool. I mean, it's giving her access to men she didn't even know existed, and men too. But we all know on social media, women get more attention than men. But
do we?
I'll say yeah.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
I think they understand. There's more women on Instagram, but there's more men on dating apps. That's the barrier. So, and then they also did another study that women swipe probably like 1 or 2% or something on swipe right on men on dating apps. So they mostly swiping left on most men, while most men are swiping right on most girls on dating apps. Yeah. So that's where that whole abundance mindset really needs to come in. Like, well, if a girl ain't talking right, then you always got to have an abundance mindset that, there's somebody else out there for me who can provide the things that I need. So, but just like, and then just a lot of like in the Black culture, a lot of our family dynamics is not the same.
Yep.
Like my parents, like your parents, a lot of kids are coming from single parent households, so they're not really seeing the common grounds of family, nuclear family. And when they go out here into the dating market and just trying to figure it out, trying to find whatever it is that they didn't get from home, from a man, from a woman. That's why you're saying you got all these mama boys and you got all these women looking for whatever daddy figure in a man. So it's just a lot of that. And we just got to continue to just push the conversation out there so that way everybody can, be better.
So, and it's funny, and I'm glad that you guys mentioned that as far as upbringings and seeing those examples.
Yeah.
It's everything that they teaching us about dating, leaving us single and alone. Because, yes, somebody out there could easily say, yeah, you guys had those examples. But out here, my mom would say, hey, just don't bring no broke nigga home. Hey, you know what I mean? Make sure you clocking these major figures. And then you got social media, got everything that's distracting us nowadays. What do you guys think that we're doing to keep us single and alone? What do you think is the main things that's keeping us in that state of mind? Even though, because it's almost like we have more than enough access. We have YouTube. We have how-to guys. We have all the advice in the world, but I feel like with the dating game, it still gets worse and worse.
I'm thinking about
You
it.
thinking? Man,
Thinking
Keon, it's a combination of things. The entitlement delusion has off the radar.
And you said something. You said entitled.
Yeah, entitled.
Well, okay. So I'm gonna play devil's advocate. So if take a woman, right? She comes from a small town.
Yeah.
She moves to the city, successful.
Yeah.
Making amazing money, over 6 figures. now I'm entitled. Now, if a guy come to me, he better be doing this and that and that. Is she really that entitled, considering what she has accomplished in her life? Look, I came from the dirt. I came from a single mom home. Now that I'm making it now, if he ain't coming this or better, I ain't talking to him. But little does she know, the guy that's way below her might be what she really needs. Because here's the thing. You can always make more money. Just get with the right person. Yeah. But now that we accomplished a little something, we got a couple degrees under our belt now. Now it's like, nah, bro, you got to come here just to even talk to me.
Right, and that's the problem. Everybody feels like they deserve something. You put in what you get out of what you put into it. You know, so and like I tell some guys when I try to inspire them, if you want better quality of options, you have to put in the work, continuously improving on yourself, whether it's financially, mentally, physically fit. You know, if you a little bit plump, you might have to, get in the gym. And that's even for women too. You know, if you want to attract what you desire, then you need to present that. And I would just say with that, like with women, when you I'll reference the old movie reference. With much power comes great responsibility. So when women sometimes can out earn what they certain thresholds, your dating options might be a little bit limited.
Definitely limited. Definitely limited.
Limited.
But with that, and I'm gonna ask you this question.
But a man's increases as he.
But let me ask you this, V. Like you say, with a woman that's high up here, I'm sure it can get a little lonely, trying to find suitables. But do you feel like a woman have to lower her standard, her options just a little bit as far as a man happen to come, be on the same tax bracket she on? Do you feel like sometimes a woman may have to come down a little bit, considering the average man makes $45,000 to $50,000 a year, and he may be a good guy, and it might be a situation. Hey, maybe you can show him something to where you can elevate him a little bit more to where both of you guys can be there together. Yeah,
it's really important for us to keep our options open. Definitely, when you said if you're successful, and you have, I'm gonna speak to the entitlement. Because I do like that question. But I don't think so. For me, I worked very hard to get where I'm at.
Mama no, girl. Mama no.
I mean, 2 masters and a doctorate by 32, okay? So I worked very hard. Yeah. And so it's not that, it's not so much an entitlement, but it's like, I don't respect a dude who is not a hard worker. I am very ambitious, like my dad. I get that from my dad, right? So it goes to me, it's not so much how much you make. Now, I always say it can't be a huge gap, because I'm gonna eventually end up carrying the person in the household. Like a huge gap. We can be close. So I'm not really pressed on he gotta be in the tax bracket or whatever. But because I know I've put myself in a good situation to continue to crease. Right. So I'm not delusional, to your point. I'm realistic. Okay. And I know how to keep my options open. It's because you're right, our options do get limited. So when we say options open, let me tell y'all. My pastor was just talking about that Wednesday. Options open as far as dating outside your race. Options open as far as age, because some females have been telling me lately, they be like, the younger dudes, and I'm like, no, I don't want nobody this.
I mean, and they're you may have to really carry it when you get a younger guy. You might have to carry it.
But it depends on the maturity. It depends on the maturity, right? Okay. And so some of them, and it depends on the field, because there are in finance, some of them, they're doing well or whatever, and they're mature. But so that's the key of not being delusional, but like knowing where you're at and being real as far as keeping your options open. And so I would tell anybody, don't lower your standard, but just make them attainable. Because we all should have standards. I feel like some people don't have enough standards. Let's talk about it. They don't have enough standards.
Black men,
I used to be guilty of that. Hey, she got a pretty face, a fat ass, hey, we're good. But as you get older, things kind of change. You look for different things. But when you talk about a mate and somebody that you want to settle down and build with, and that's a different story.
Like now you be like, okay, how can she cook? Let's
that's essential.
What I mean? That's essential for you. Yeah. And for me, I love to cook, so I don't mind that. But some, like you said, goes back to getting to know the person. Some women, they'll be like, oh, I ain't cooking. No, he need to cook. And that's okay if that's what you want to do, but find a man who's gonna be okay with it, because a lot of men are not okay with that.
True. True.
Let's be honest. That's when gender roles, that's a whole nother topic.
And I think sometimes too we put so much emphasis on the finance, but it's according to industry too. It's like, for an example, if you work in finance, you know, there's limitless of opportunities to make a lot of money. If you're in tech, the bag is good. But say if it's a guy you meet, you guys are vibing well. He's perfect when it comes to the values, everything that you guys are looking for in each other. He fits that mold. But maybe he's a teacher. Maybe he's an assistant principal. And you know, when you work for a school system, they don't make as much money as us working in the financial industry. So maybe $80,000 or $70,000 a year may be a high earner for that particular industry. What would you guys say to that? Because sometimes it's industry. The industries may be different. Maybe in this industry they make a lot of money for what they're doing. And in your industry, you probably up here. Yeah. But does that mean that you guys still can't get together and create something special?
Nah, it shouldn't mean it at all. I mean, sometimes it says we're the only culture that debates this kind of stuff. Other cultures, they just figure it out. You know, they just make it work. I mean, I work in finance. I work with women who are VPs, senior VPs. I know they maybe are earning their spouse. Probably. I'm pretty sure. But they just make it work. They make it work because it's all about family. Family is the key
for the family.
For the family.
Yeah.
So then I always ask, because I find it interesting where I've had this experience with three different type of men. Why do men have an issue when the woman does make more money than them? Because you said a good point.
I'm about to tell you.
VP,
Okay.
I'm a VP.
Here's the challenge. I hear this a lot. This narrative with a lot of women who are successful that they meet men that are intimidated by their success or some of the things that they got going on for themselves, which is great. They're probably interacting with men, two things. They're probably interacting with men who may not be on that level. And then when they actually meet men who are on that level, it's not necessarily a intimidation, it's more of a turnoff. Men who are successful as well, that's not a prerequisite for them. They don't really care about a woman that can go out and make six figures or get a bag. They would prefer the woman who's chill, reserved. Like I said, they'll date the big booty girl working at McDonald's doing fries.
Because we value different things in each other. Of course,
long as she can get on his program.
Because let's keep it real. Let's keep it a bit. Yeah. Women, they want security. They want a guy to make them feel safe
course.
and stuff like that. So
Provider.
a provider. So a man that can earn, whether he's a high earner or got some bags coming in. I mean, yes, that's attractive to a woman. But for men, we value women based on her physical. Yeah. We look at her based on how she treat us, femininity, all that stuff. So we're looking at different things. Because if I'm looking at a woman and say she makes more than me, it wouldn't diminish me as a man because I'm secure enough for myself. I'm happy where I'm at. But at the same time, I'm valuing her based on how she treat me, based on how she look, and based on her morals and values. Because at the end of the day, your 6 figures or $200,000 a year, it ain't my money. It ain't like I can spend it. I have my own money.
But you said you're secure in yourself.
Absolutely.
Because the man has to be secure. So it's a problem when the man is not secure in where he's at in life.
Well, step his game up. He needs to step his game up.
I agree.
But here's another thing. Women, sometimes, when you get in these positions, sometimes you exuberate some of your masculine energy. Because to be a CEO, to be a boss, sometimes you have to tap into your masculine ways. To be a leader, that is a masculine trait. To be a leader, to be a CEO, that is a masculine trait. So sometimes that carries over when you're interacting with men. And that might not necessarily attract the type of men on your level because they good in it. I'm good on it. I don't need another boss. I'm the boss. I don't need another boss as a woman. You know what I'm saying? I need someone who I'm going to protect, provide for, and, take care of my kids and everything.
So as the woman, I would say that varies on the woman because to be honest.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Because it's like, you a boss at your job, you always leading. When you get home, you don't want to do that. You want to be, it's cool to be submissive. But like I always say, I'm not going to let everybody lead me. You have to be a certain type of guy to lead me, and that's what our daddies teach us. That's what our male friends will tell women. You can't let any man lead you off a cliff. He got to exude some kind of leadership qualities or some characteristics where you trust him. See, let's talk about it. Women, we have an issue with being submissive to certain men and an issue with being led if the man doesn't exude certain characteristics. Every man walking around here does not know how to lead a family, lead a woman, let's be real.
Yeah.
Y'all, they claim that role, oh, we want to be the head of the household, but we see how society has played the part where a lot of men aren't doing that. They haven't stepped up, right? And so for a woman, we have to trust the man that he can lead us. And then the more trust we have, we're like, okay, we got it. We got it.
Okay.
It's just like, even in friendships, right? And it's just like, so...
But
does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. But to also follow up with you with that too, a lot of... And I had a conversation with a person the other day saying that, do you believe in pretty privilege? She's like, hell yeah, I believe in pretty privilege, because you got a lot of women out here dating men that they're super attracted to, and he doesn't exude any of those leadership qualities, but they'll overlook a good man who does have the leadership qualities, but maybe he's just not appealing enough for her to even give him the time of day. It's a lot of women overlook good men out here because they're not the good-looking guy, but then they settle with these bum-ass dudes, and maybe he good-looking, maybe he got a hell of a swag, but we choosing looks and swag over a guy that may be perfect for you. Yeah, he may not be 6 foot, he may not be the prototype attractive guy, but he may be a perfect guy for you where you guys can build together. So I feel like sometimes, I hear what you're saying, but a lot of women overlook those kind of guys for a nigga with swag who ain't shit anyway, but he got that look, he got the pipe game. He got the look. He know how to talk to you, right? But nobody's saying anything about that. Like, let's just keep it a bean. I mean, there's a lot of ain't shit dudes out here with amazing women.
Yeah, a lot of them got kids too. A lot of them got kids too. A lot of them got kids too. And broken
Bookie
families.
and Ray Ray, baby.
And broken families.
And the game is official. Their game.
Yeah, but I just want to address that. I mean, I don't want y'all to think that corporate CEO women can't find men on their level. It's just about your mindset, having a proper mindset out there, understanding because I always say, well, somebody once said, knowing what the kind of man that you will want from you. Once you know that, then you already a step ahead of the game.
I like that. Yeah. So I got a question for you guys. I know it's a lot of conversation on relationships. There's a lot of conversations on men should do this, women should do that, the state of dating, the state of marriage, that's lower now, the state of just us taking each other seriously, like you said, access, all of this, expectations, standards. So let me ask you guys this. Where do you guys see the dating game going as far as the future? Like, do y'all see it getting better? Do you see it getting worse? Do you see it? Because I hear a lot of people say, man, I'm married now. I would never want to be in a dating game today. Just based on the state of dating and unrealistic expectations. And parents are getting younger and younger. So these kids have a false perception of what dating is or what it takes. So from a future perspective, where do you guys see this dating game going? And I'm going to start with you, Hafiz.
Oh, man. I can't say it's going to get better or for worse. I just think we just have to evolve. Bro, sis, we just gotta evolve.
How do we do that?
You just stay with the times, my brother. You keep your
adapt to what's
adapt to
going
what
on.
it is, and I think that's the thing. Men. Here's the thing. Men have kind of always kind of been the same over years. We want kind of the similar things. Like we're simple in the things that we desire. Of course, we want physical, we want visual, we want beauty, and we just want cooperativeness and just peace. Really, peace. I know women standards have evolved because women are now working. They can take care of themselves. They're earning, and they're earning to the point where they can come counter-dependent of a man versus back in the day where a man will go out and work and earn so he can be a provider figure. Now, things have changed. So we just, like you said, it's just communication, transparency. I'm even more open and transparent now when I'm engaging with women. Just maybe it just comes with time as I'm getting older because I don't want to waste her time. I don't want to waste my time. If our ideals and things that we're looking for don't align, then we can just be like, well, it was nice meeting you, nice chatting with you. But I'll just say it's not going to get any better or worse. All we can continue to do is just have these conversations like we're doing to educate each other, to empower each other, to enlighten each other, and to push different narratives out there. That is, and set a good example, and just always making sure that we're putting the best ideals that we want for our culture in the forefront. So that's what I would suggest.
I like that. Now, before I get to you, V, let me ask you this. Do you feel like we're patient enough as far as the getting to know each other process? Like you said, well, we ain't speaking on the same things and we ain't doing this now. All right, moving on to something else. Are we patient enough to really just see it through? Like, okay, let me really get to know this person. Maybe.
Nah, no one. This is men and women. None is patient. Like I was telling you, V, like women, this is like, women find ways to disqualify a man.
Quick!
While here's the difference. Men find ways to qualify a woman, while women find ways to disqualify a man before they actually even meet or initial conversation. Here's the difference. A woman can disqualify a man just like, oh, I don't like the way he dressed, or I don't like them shoes he got on. Or he was
know the brother.
Let me finish. Yeah, before figuring out that this guy, he got this going on, he got that going on, he's a good catch. He could be potential husband material just off the rip off of that. While guys, on the other hand, they'll kind of talk with a girl, figure out what her mindset is, past the visuals, to see where they can categorize her. If she could be potential wifey, side chick, or bust down, or whatever, something. You know, that's what it goes back to my point. Men will find a way to qualify a woman, while women will find a way to disqualify. And I think that's where you mentioned the patience needs to come in, figuring out where that at. Because I know, men, we're kind of impatient. We want to get down with the get down pretty quick.
Yeah.
Her personality ain't. Moving on. Oh, she ain't. She sneezed the wrong way. Oh, he just
she's taking too long.
I
Yeah.
don't like her pants. Why she ain't? She ain't got no. I got to get. I got to get out of here.
Yeah. And that, like you said, that goes back to just having access. Sometimes too much access. I mean, don't get me wrong. Social media, dating apps, they are good. Because it's hard to find somebody nowadays and just our normal, typical routine day of life. Working, going to the gym, school, home. It's hard to meet somebody because people not approaching each other like they do like in a gas station or at church or, other places. So social media does present. So there's plenty of people that have coupled up using social media or dating apps, but like you said, it has made the world a little bit smaller too.
Well, let's go over to the doctor. The first question I'm gonna ask is that where do you see the dating game going as far as, for your opinion, as far as where this game is going?
I feel like that's a loaded ass question. It's dope, but it's so complex, right?
I know.
And but it's great because let's start. It's important to have. I love what you said, Hafiz, about educating each other, having these conversations, being comfortable to be vulnerable. I think we need to heal a lot. Let's talk about mental health and therapy, right? That's a whole nother topic. I get it, right? But that is important because a lot of people are not healed from past traumas, current relationships, anything, and we just jump. And it's like when you, I keep saying this because self-love is super important, right? So when you really love yourself, you're comfortable in yourself, you've done the work, as you always say, mentally, physically, spiritually, you feel whole as your person, and when you're ready to meet that person, you're going to show up the best version you are at that moment, right? And so that will help if more people did that. If more people, but the reality is that's not going to happen because of society. A lot of people are so influenced by social media. We talk about culture. I'm bringing it all the way back. And the younger generation, every generation they say they love being single. They don't want to get married, like the younger generations behind us, right? The certain different values, we're going to respect all religions, but certain different values, the younger generation, they aren't growing up with that. They keep saying that and things of that nature. So when you talk about not looking at superficial stuff, looking at, is this person a compulsive liar, right? Or something like that, or physical, different things, if we're, focusing on the wrong things or whatever. So I don't know where it's going to be, but I just encourage all of us to do the work ourselves. And we have to hold each other accountable.
Yes.
And we have to encourage people to be vulnerable. Like I think it's sad when a lot of these guys on social media, when they are vulnerable about something that's happening, and then you see on Shade Room, all of the comments, you see now there are a lot of women who celebrate because we love when we see a man being vulnerable. We think that's sexy, right? But then you'll see some of the I don't want to call people names, but bird brains, they be in the comments like, oh,
Yeah.
why he crying about
Soft
not
ass
seeing his
nigga.
kid,
Yeah.
or why he crying
Yeah.
about the baby mama. He put himself
Yeah.
in they're projecting because the trauma. Then you see a lot of dudes, and I'm super surprised when I'm reading the comments. Then you see a lot of men who are like, oh, he need to just suck it up. He can see his kid when he wants or something. And it's like, this is this man's son, and he's crying and upset because he can't see his kids, and y'all are, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's when you say the negative influence about social media has really damaged the culture, society. And I don't, we keep evolving into that, and I don't see us, it's kind of too late for us to separate. So that's why us individually, we all got to do the work. Whatever that looks like for us, we got to try to do the work ourselves, right?
Absolutely. I definitely agree with that. We all got to do the work instead of meeting a representative, really meeting the authentic person. You know, I got another question for you guys. Do you feel like the generation before us failed us in a way? That's why the young people are coming up with these dating ideologies, and that's the reason why we're in where we are. Are we blaming? Should we take some of that blame towards the generation prior to us? Because it's almost like, man, how did we get here? How did we get here?
So I'd be interested to know what you thought. Because that's a good question. Where did that come from? Like, you had a conversation with somebody and
you know, the single motherhood is higher. Parents are not as together as they used to be. You got a lot of kids that are, you know, I've heard a female say, yeah, I go to the club with my mom, or, you know, I see my mom bringing a man in and out of the house. So she sees that. So she's not seeing that example of what really love is and what it really takes. So sometimes I always wonder, man, when we look at the generation from yesteryear and seeing all that stuff, you know, should we give them some blame on that, because to bring us to this point, because it's generation to generation to generation to generation, and it's like, now if the generation prior to us was doing it the right way, wouldn't we be in a much different space than we are now? You know, so just
that's hard to say, because I don't think we all knew how impactful social media would be on everything in life, right?
Well,
aspect.
Yeah, I mean, the generation before us, yeah, they definitely had some challenges and some flaws. I would say some of the Generation X women are not being as advisory to some of the younger girls who would be considered their daughter age, because a lot of them are single now.
Yeah.
A lot of them are still single on the
bring
dating
that up.
market. And they're essentially competing for the same men that their daughters are attracting. So there's a difference. You didn't really see that as much with, like, my parents' generation. Like, my parents and her parents, like, most of them, because a lot of them dealt with the civil rights movement. We had, marriage was at a high in the black community during the civil rights. It seems like when we didn't have as much freedom, we were more together. Now we more free, we more separated. Where did that happen? I know studies have shown that there was a shift in that, right, kind of in between after, like, the baby boomer generation X, because you saw more freedoms, more liberty, more freedoms, like affirmative action and more enrollment in colleges, universities, which I went to HBCU where a bunch of girls. So when they graduate and they go out to the dating market, there's standards are already here. So we already know there's a small percentage of men that women think are qualifiable anyway. So when you take that out to the dating market, here you are now. This is what we have now here. So that's why I mentioned we just have to just try to evolve, get in where you fit in, always self-improving. Improving
and holding each other accountable too.
Yes.
You know, I do want, and I challenge the women out here. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm challenging the women out here to talk to your daughters, talk homegirls. Whatever, if you see your homegirls out here with the hypocrisy, pull her to the side. Hey, girl, you need to do, but like you said, that you and your homegirls hold each other accountable. But not a lot of women out here holding each other accountable. Not a lot of men out here. Look, man, you fucking up, dog. Hey, dog, this is what you need to do. Hey, this is what you need to do. We're not having those brotherhood, sisterhood moments as much as we need to. But I think that can probably bridge the gap instead of us having a conversation about, hey, should you be broke while dating? You know, maybe that'd be a whole completely different perspective on it.
This is why what we're doing can be so beneficial, because there's there's not a lot of man space or just spaces like this where folk like us can have conversations to speak not only to our people, just people in general. Because it's hard to just get what you need from major platforms. They keep it politically correct sometimes. So having platforms like this where we can kind of speak our mind, actually hit you with the truth. And there's some people that are a little more brutally truthful than others. But that's I think we're seeing a new shift and wave of wokeness. Some people are finding their value in themselves. And we'll see how things go. But like I said, just always continue to improve to bring the better you out here.
And create safe spaces for people to be vulnerable, to open up about a lot of stuff. And to have the conversations like me and you. Like I could talk to y'all about anything, right?
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of, I don't have, maybe a lot of my female friends don't have male friends with platonic relationships where they can have good conversations, where you can ask me about something and vice versa. And I think that's important because we don't know how y'all think. We don't know how y'all move.
Yeah.
And if we're always talking to just our female friends or y'all are always just talking to each other, it's like, how can we come together? Because you know how you, like, I love how you always say it seems like women, especially in the Black community, women and men are so far apart. That's because we don't do enough of this. And we don't. We got to have a safe space to be vulnerable and to be to speak love and speak in truth and hold each other accountable or call each other out on our shit when we, when something is like, nah, V, you shouldn't have did that, dude, like that. You know.
Yeah, I've noticed that too because when certain points are brought up, the reactions from men and women
How dare he say that? You know?
I didn't even think about it like that, you know? So that's where this type of platform and conversations come in, where we can engage and enlighten people. Because some people just don't know.
And you know what, guys? And that's why we have the Chocolate Conversation podcast, because we want to be able to bring this to, because I think Kevin Samuel said something a long time. He said, guys, say something. You know, fellas, say something. You know, the reason why the women are reacting the way they're reacting, say something. Don't be, you know, a lot of people just keep the peace. I ain't going to say nothing stupid. I want them draws. I ain't going to say nothing stupid. I ain't saying nothing stupid. But it's like, man, say something, because I do feel like not enough women understand man fully, not enough men understand women. But I think if we take time out to understand each other more, I think we'll have less and less problems, even in the dating realm. Because I feel like dating should be fun. This should be an experience. It should be, hey, man, I can't wait to get up with, I can't wait for us to do a picnic.
It shouldn't be this stressful.
It shouldn't be, okay, I'm going to an interview, I'm dressing up, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to set the, you know, it shouldn't be all of that just to go out on a date and really just be your authentic self.
Yeah, dating used to be fun. I remember watching old movies or old sitcoms where it was a female sitcom show, and girl, she bragged about, like, I got a hot date tonight, y'all. I was like, oh my God, where you going? Like,
it was exciting.
It was just exciting. Like when we going to the movies, we might do a little walk in the park.
Yeah.
You got excited. Now it's just dating, just like, oh, I'm going to go see this nigga, or I'm about to meet up with this girl, this chick, or whatever.
But you know what I will say, guys, when it's exciting to, like, me or some females, is when we're selective of who we let take us out. I mean, it is exciting. Like, we're excited. Like, we put on a certain music, mood, and getting dressed. And it's like, oh, I'm really excited to get to know this person. Yeah. No expectations, right? Because it's just like, and I like enjoying people's company. So no expectations. But that's when I notice it's really exciting. We get excited about dating if we're selective. But to your point, if you constantly, because I know some people, they going on a date every week. I'm like, how do y'all have a life? Like, do y'all work? Y'all must not have demanding careers or no extra
like I told
activities.
Like I told you before, it's a different experience from when women date and men date. Men have to, especially initially, men have to provide the experience. Women just experience the experience.
Show up.
Experience the experience. So it's I know there's pressure on both sides, but I tell women it's always more pressure on guys, especially initial first 2 or 3 dates.
I'm sure
because we're generally assuming the first initial investment, and like I said, we're providing the experience, and you're just experiencing the experience. So.
But we're still called to show up and and act
Yeah,
right. You know,
yeah.
and
Still,
like not be, you know,
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
a bad attitude or not be rude.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
And I will tell y'all, definitely pay attention on when you're on a date how they treat the wait staff and things of that. You know,
Yeah.
all
Is
of
that for both men? Well, for men and
Oh
women
yeah,
too?
you know,
okay.
I've told
Okay.
you, I've like this dude went on a date. He made the waiter cry. I was like, oh no, I'm good.
Man,
I'm
that's
good.
crazy.
And he
Yeah,
was
that's-
upset
yeah,
about. I
that's
was like,
tough.
nah, we done. Like, and I called my daddy the same night. I was like, Daddy, blah blah blah, and he was like, nah, because if he did that to her, he'll eventually do it to you when he's comfortable. You did right. You have to pay attention to how people treat people, and that's important when you say what. Not the superficial stuff. I'm watching how does he treat my friends? How does he treat strangers? I'm always, because I know how I treat people. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that's important to me. So
Nah, that's a good way to disqualify.
looking at the character.
he earned that disqualification.
He earned that
okay?
disqualification.
Yeah.
Man, this has been an amazing show, guys. You know, Dr. V putting your slab on it. Hey, Hafiz putting your swag
Yes,
on it.
sir.
Me putting my swag on it. Do you guys have any final remarks or one word just to sum up any sort of dating advice to anybody out there? You know, what would you say to a young brother out there? What would you say to a young female out there that's just lost? Maybe she's trapped in this culture we live in. Maybe a young black male or whatever. They just trapped in this culture we live in. Or even adults out there. They just... they in the streets. You know?
Right.
What advice would you give them if you had to sum it up in one word?
I would just say this. This is all ages across the board. Ain't even ethnicities, races, and all that. Just continue to just grind, work hard, stay on your purpose. Stay on your purpose.
And you can stay on your purpose and still date too.
Yeah, you can stay on your purpose and still date too. Yeah. But just if you put too much energy on just pursuing and chasing after girls or trying to getting frustrated with I can't find a man or I can't get a woman, just continue to just work, do the things that's necessary for you, because it can get draining, frustrating, trying to find the one, seem like it's hopeless. But if you just continue to just keep a level head, work, do all the things that you enjoy, hobbies, take your mind off of it sometimes. Sometimes you just gotta step away from it and just focus on the things that you enjoy. And I learned that those things will come to you as you're doing other things.
And just one thing I'll say is just be comfortable in who you are. And if you're not comfortable in your skin and can show up authentic as your authentic self, don't date. Because it's not fair to send a representation.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't do representations. I want to know the real you. I want to know the real you. You know what I'm saying? Because you're going to know the real me because I'm that comfortable. So that's what I'll say.
And my closing remark I would say is, like you said, continue to be yourself, but also too, whether you're making 50,000, 100,000, at the end of the day, you know, everybody wants love, everybody wants companionship, and that's still possible out here. You know, man, you can still find somebody within your tax bracket. You can still find, no matter where you are, there's levels to it. You can still find somebody, but don't let that deter you from the state of the dating market out here. You know, I hear tons of success stories, whether they're at the bottom or they're at the top. At the end of the day, we all need love, we all need companionship, we all need somebody. You know, it may not be somebody you want, but we all need somebody. But just to close everything out, man, thank you guys. This was the first episode of Chocolate Podcast Conversation. There's more to come. You don't want to miss the next episode. Thanks again. Remember, like this video, share this video, subscribe, and remember, we'll be back.